Morning, Mr. Johnson.
Morning, Mr. Bellamy. How are you?
I'm fine.
It's a nice sunny morning.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
And what is it? It's the 8th today, isn't it?
Oh, there, let's have the date right, yeah.
Yes, it's the 8th,
The 8th.
of March 2007.
And we're in the village, the Northamptonshire village of Lamport. And we're just going to cycle through Lamport and then down onto the Brampton Valley Way, which is a cycle track and walkway, and that will take us up to the Kelmarsh tunnel.
Oh.
What we do when we get to the Kelmarsh tunnel will be decided when we get there, because sometimes it can be very wet inside an old railway tunnel. Okay, but come on, we'll go and have a look.
Okay, bye.
Beautiful brick patterns on our first scene in Lamport. And this is the main street through Lamport. Nice stone building there, looks as if it's all been renovated. We're just going down to the church. Some early blossom on the trees. See the short stumpy tower on this church?
Yeah. Run out of money.
And it says run out of money. So we'll just put the bikes up against the wall over there and have a little closer look. Well, quite a surprise in the churchyard here. There's a lot of primroses out. Now, to my way of thinking, these are very early to be out. They're even in front of the daffodils, look.
They're not actually cowslips, are they?
They're primroses.
Are they all primroses? Some of these look a bit long.
And we're actually, you can see some traffic on the road over there. And that's where we'll be cycling. And in the valley, in that line of trees, that's where we'll be cycling along the Brampton Valley Way, the old track bed of the Northampton to Market Harborough Railway, closed in the 1960s. This is another scene from the churchyard. This is on the west side of the church, near the tower. An absolute beautiful day, absolutely beautiful. And everywhere you go, there's the first signs of spring. A lovely row of crocus here. Across the road from the church is Lamport House, and a lot of the people associated with Lamport House in the past are buried in the church and the churchyard. Well, this is where we're joining the Brampton Valley Way. We're going up as far as Kelmarsh tunnels, which is 2 3/4 miles. Lamport is behind the camera, half a mile up the hill, and this was the site of Lamport station. Not much left now, just Lamport station house. So we'll get off and go along the track bed. Been about 50 years since trains came along here. 60 years probably since steam trains came along here. But of course farther back behind us to the south you've got the Northampton and Lamport Railway, which now runs steam trains on 3/4 mile of track, all run by volunteers. Just saw a rabbit, another rabbit, birds all flying. We're disturbing the early morning peace. Although it must be about 9:45, I should think. Lovely and peaceful, all the birds whistling. We've travelled about a mile so far, and along the track bed there's various seats, and a lot of them have been paid for and been given by people who love the railway. And this one is by Ron Perry and his dog Prince, and Ernie and I know Ron very well. He's retired now, but he was the manager of one of West End DIY stores. A great train enthusiast. Got a big shed at the back of his garden with a lovely model railway in, and apparently he comes here quite often, parks his car farther along the track and walks down and sits on his seat. Absolutely beautiful. Can you imagine a steam train coming along here, probably at about 60 miles an hour, and someone throwing daffodil bulbs out the window? They must have done, mustn't they? Look. Just growing at the side of the track.
And you throw them in your garden, they wouldn't come, would they?
No, probably not, no. Another seat here. This is given by Terry Arnold, another railway enthusiast. Lovely bird song in the trees.
What was it for?
Just coming up to a footbridge. This was because a footpath came across the farmland and crossed the line, so this footbridge was put here years ago, late 1800s I should think, for safety for people to cross the line. That is of course when the line was busy with passenger traffic and freight traffic. The actual footpath went from Maidwell village to Broughton village, came across the fields there, then they'd go up over the footbridge. Not much chance of that now, look. Up over the footbridge, down the other side, and over the fields there to Broughton village. And we're now about 1.5 miles or so away from Kelmarsh tunnels. So it's very nice. Ernie said it's amazing someone hasn't purchased this footbridge. Oh. But then again, where would they put it? What would they do with it?
Yeah, somebody might want it.
But that's well over 100 years old. Victorian that'd be, won't it? The workmanship in that. Just for people to cross the line in safety. I'm standing where a level crossing used to be. That's the road that goes over the little river or brook and up to Maidwell village. Looking back down the track, I see a van down there now, so I guess they're going to do some tree cutting. And this way you go up the hill by road to Broughton village. And we're going along there to, as I keep saying, the tunnels. Maybe on the way back we'll go up and have a look at Maidwell village. We'll see. Coming up close to what looks like a river bridge, although it's more of a brook than a river. Yeah. But this winds and twists backwards and forwards underneath this railway line, all the way from Northampton to Market Harborough.
Yes, there he is.
Right, we'll just get off the bike and have a look down there. Got a stream to the right there running into this river. To be honest, I don't even know what river it is. It could be the River Oise. I think probably we'll be able to get down there and have a look at this viaduct. This lovely moss growth on tree stumps, that's where they've been cutting the trees, the small trees down. Lots of moss growing around here. It's very damp, even at the base of the trees. It looks as if it's growing up the trees. But we'll turn right round and you can see this small viaduct. If the river comes up and over the banks, then these arches take the excess water and it floods the meadows then. I bet that water's freezing cold. Lovely sound, doesn't it? Such simple things in life bring such great pleasure. And quite near to this brook and viaduct you've got these small daffodils. Forget what the actual name for them, but they're the miniature ones. And what are they doing growing out in this woodland area? Did they come here naturally? Did birds carry the small bulbs? Or did somebody plant them? Were they thrown from a train? Okay, so we're leaving that little viaduct behind and moving on along the track. There we go. And we can only be about 3/4 of a mile now from Kelmarsh Tunnel. And just before we find the tunnel, we should go underneath the A14 major road trunk route from east to west across the country in the Midlands. Okay?
Okay, bye. Yeah.
Well, we've just passed Great Lane footpath crossing. There was no footbridge there. People used to have to dodge the trains and walk across the tracks. And you will have noticed, no doubt, that it's now getting very noisy with traffic, and this is where we're coming up to the A14 trunk road. And I don't know about you on the camera, on the film, but I can actually see the tunnel mouth through the bridge that goes under the dual carriageway. Now if it was the middle of the summer you wouldn't see that, because it'd all be trees with leaves on, and that blocks out the view. Well, that's the peace and quiet gone for a little while. This is a mega trunk route, this is, from the docks at Felixstowe and Harwich up to Birmingham. Farm tracks there, and two tunnels, one going north and one coming south. At one time there was only a single tunnel, but because the line got so busy with passenger and freight traffic, they built another tunnel. But only one is open to the public now. Maybe one day the Lamport and Chapel Brampton Railway steam enthusiast line will come right up here, and maybe one day steam trains will once again plunge into this dark tunnel. Very spooky. The last time we came here we plunged into the tunnel and got totally disorientated. Nearly fell off the bike. I'd got a still camera then. This is the first time that I've done this with a video. I can see someone at the other end of the tunnel. Don't know how long it is. I'll have to have a look. Very smelly.
It's a bit piggy, isn't it?
Yeah, primroses on the bank, look. Oh, the lovely primroses. Look at that, beautiful. Lots of water dripping. And there you go, you plunge into the tunnel. It's quite bumpy in here. And this is where it goes completely black and you get totally disorientated. So there you go. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Well, that's Ernie silhouetted in the light from the end of the tunnel. Very echoey, isn't it? Yes, it is a bit wet. It is a bit wet up there, but it's dry here.
I'm standing in water here.
Yeah. Yeah, wash your boots.
Yeah.
Can't see the bike or anything.
Very dodgy.
But there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Well, we're about halfway through the tunnel, and this is where one of the flue chimneys go out to let the smoke out from the old steam engines. And Ernie is almost under it. Why he hasn't gone under it, I don't know. We've done a bit of splish splashing through puddles in the tunnel. I'm only imagining that this is about halfway, but oh yeah, look, it's a big puddle here.
Look up into the opening.
Just a minute, just going to stand my bike up.
Eh? Look up in the opening.
Wow. Look at this then.
Yeah.
How many of you have actually been in a railway tunnel and looked up through one of these air vents, come smoke vents?
Not many.
This is a rare sight, this is. And it's not raining. It's not raining outside. It's pouring off the hillsides. And that wasn't lightning either. That is really weird, that is. Just hang on a minute. There you go. That's looking right up there. That must be, that's at least as high as a 3-storey house, I reckon. All little water spots coming down. Wonderful, isn't it? Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. And I'm right in the middle of the hole, and I'm not getting wet at all, really. And it's certainly not hitting the camera, is it? So there you go. Right, we're on our way out the tunnel. I tell you, I'm not kidding, this is very difficult riding one-handed because it's as black as you're at, and it's bumpy, and there's puddles. And you get totally disorientated. Really weird, a really weird feeling. If you're wondering what the squeak is, Ernie's got a brake block that is touching his wheel, or his rim, and that's what's causing the squeaking. It's like following the mouse, I reckon. It's all right when you've been in the tunnel a little while, but when you first go in, it is a very weird feeling. Not a lot of people would want to do it. There, back out into the beautiful sunlight. There's the soakaways, water runs down and is all drained off. Going back years, 100 years, built 100 years ago. Lovely primroses growing on the bank. And I just switch the camera off a moment and then turn around and film the whole tunnel mouth. Because over there, over the bank, is the other tunnel, remember, which runs parallel with this one. Well, that certainly made me puff coming up the embankments, but that is the other track bed. That would be the northbound track bed. We've been in the tunnel on the southbound, and just to show you what a massive structure this is, that's where the northbound plunges into its tunnel, and then you come up this embankment and just duck down under this branch of this tree, and the stonework, brickwork comes right across under the earth there, and there's the other tunnel where we've just been into. Quite a great work of engineering, isn't it? And there's my mate Ernie down there, look, wandering about in the mud. Oh well, we enjoy it, it's lovely to be out in the country. Going back down the track now and decide whether to go and have a look at Maidwell village. Well, we're just back down now, 1.5 miles, back to Maidwell crossing. We're not sure whether there was an actual station here. It looks quite wide, as if there could have been, and it's very potholy. Excuse that camera bumping up and down. What we're going to do, we'll call this the station yard, I think, and we'll come out the station yard and turn right and go and have a little look up at Maidwell village.
Where's that road going?
Draughton.
Oh, you don't get a Lamport then?
No. This is the same little river that went under the railway earlier on. Just a little look. There's something I want to see, if it's still there, in the school playground up at Maidwell. It's a little climb up here to the village, so what we'll do, we'll get off and walk and bring you back in when we get to the school. So here we are, we've come up the hill into the little village of Maidwell. Once again, some lovely daffodils shining in the sunshine. Very narrow road here, but this actually leads us onto the main A road, which we left when we started our railway track bed ride near Lamport. It's the same main road. The church in front of us here, and here we have the school, and yes, what I wanted to show you is still here. Just going to turn the bike right round. Whoops, nearly ran into Ernie then. There. Now look at that. Isn't that sweet? We've been cycling along a railway track bed, and there's a railway train. I bet the children had great fun on that. The Yogi Bear over there, and that is the school. According to the church clock, it's 11:30. I don't think it's that late, but then again it might be, because when we're out cycling, time just flies by. Very nice cottage here, 3 stories. Forsythia there waiting to come out.
I suppose the church is open.
No, it wasn't when I came last time.
It wasn't?
No. Nice old barn there. Northamptonshire is full of beautiful old stone buildings. A lot of them thatched. All the lovely spring flowers. Look at that. It's really nice, isn't it? Very pretty. And what have we got here?
Wire.
Very nice. That's Grasmere House down there. Lovely quiet little village. More bulbs round the tree there. It'll be a bit noisier in a minute when we hit this main road, I think. And it's 1 3/4 miles back to Lamport by road. That's where we've left the car, but we came along the railway tracks. I said it'd be a bit noisy here, didn't I? And that's looking up through the main street through Maidwell. As far as I know, there's only one pub in the village, and that's the Stag's Head, although it is quite a big pub. Berries here, left over from a very, very mild winter. Looking back down towards Lamport and Northampton. Nice cottages over there, willow tree there, and another very nice old stone cottage as you look up the main street. Well, thank you for joining us on this little trip up to the Kelmarsh tunnels. I'm sure you've enjoyed it.
Yes, yeah, it's very nice. Very nice.
And he's had a mouse following him all the time with his but, he fixed it, and then he went and put his brake on and the noise came back again. Yeah. Never mind.
We should fix it in time.
We look forward to seeing you again when we do another trip, don't we?
Yes, when we do another one, yes.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Bye.